Cameroon is in Group G in the World Cup. In Group G, there's like I just said, there's Cameroon, Switzerland, Serbia, and Brazil. This is actually a difficult group. Serbia, Switzerland, and Brazil, Cameroon, they're all very talented and skilled teams. Switzerland can hang with any team in the world on a good day. Serbia can hang with any team with the best of the world on a good day. And Brazil is Brazil. Brazil is one of the best teams in the world. So actually, Cameroon has his hands full with Group G, but I believe they can handle the task. I truly believe that Cameroon, if Cameroon is on their A game, they can advance to the second round of the World Cup. Most people expect Brazil to top this group, and that's pretty obvious. They're a football and soccer giant. And most people actually have Cameroon coming in last in this group. Most people don't think Cameroon is good enough to advance to the second round of the World Cup, but I disagree. You know, Most people probably think Switzerland would land in second or Serbia might land in second, but do not count out Cameroon. Do not count out Cameroon. Most African teams are always the underdog in the World Cup. And sometimes it's good going to the World Cup as the underdog. You know, it can give you being the underdog can give a team the drive to want to prove themselves. Sometimes it's good to be an underdog, and it gives you the drive, the motivation to prove yourself and be like, hey, I am good enough to advance to the second round of the World Cup. So being an underdog can just make Cameroon put in more effort to win these games and advance to the second round of the World Cup. Cameroon has already played two pre Cameroon has already played two pre-World Cup friendlies against Uzbekistan and South Korea, and Cameroon lost both of these friendlies. There a few weeks ago, Cameroon lost against Uzbekistan. Cameroon, they lost to Uzbekistan. I believe the score was 2-0. Even though Cameroon did not score against Uzbekistan, they definitely did put in a good effort and they tried. Uzbekistan, is played well against Cameroon. Uzbekistan, is extremely good test for Cameroon. Uzbekistan, I think Cameroon picked Uzbekistan to play a friendly against because I believe Uzbekistan is very close to Serbia, and Cameroon is going to be playing against Serbia in the World Cup. So Uzbekistan, due to proximity to Serbia, they have a similar style of play to Serbia. So that's why Cameroon picked Uzbekistan, to play against in a friendly to prepare for Serbia in the World Cup. But yeah, Uzbekistan, I saw the game, Uzbekistan is a good team for Cameroon to prepare for the World Cup. They're very Uzbekistan is very technically and tactically skilled. Um, Before the friendly match, when I found out Cameroon was going to play against Uzbekistan, I kind of underestimated them to my fault. But when I watched the game, I'm like, dang, Uzbekistan is way better than I thought. And yeah, they're a very good team. But they didn't make it to the World Cup. But the way they played against Cameroon, man, Uzbekistan has some game. Uzbekistan dominated ball possession against Cameroon. Uzbekistan had, they were attacking against Cameroon. They're good at keeping ball possession, dribbling off the field. They're very technically and tactically skilled, Uzbekistan. Um, they're playing great defense against Cameroon. Like Eastern European teams, Uzbekistan, I believe Uzbekistan is in Asia, but Uzbekistan, I believe, borders Eastern Europe. So they're all a part of the same clan. Uzbekistan is basically a part of Eastern Europe, and Eastern European teams are very technically and tactically skilled. You know, they play great defense. Eastern European teams like Serbia, Uzbekistan, Russia, those teams play great defense, and those players are very fast and physical. Uzbekistan was very physical, in your face. Didn't give a lot of space against Cameroon. Their defense was very compact against Cameroon. So, that's the same type of defense that Cameroon is going to face in the World Cup against like Serbia. So that was good practice. And Cameroon, they're trying, you know, they were attacking, they're moving the ball decently around the field. Their ball movement, Cameroon, was pretty fluid around the field against Uzbekistan. But Cameroon right now is just lacking offensive creativity. They lack creativity. They were lacking creativity against Uzbekistan. Didn't score any goals. Cameroon didn't score any goals against Uzbekistan or South Korea. But I still, even though they lost their both friendlies and didn't score any goals against in those two friendlies, Cameroon still has some qualities that I like about them in those two friendly matches. One thing I like about Cameroon is that they're very defensive. They're organized defensively. They're compact defensively. They're hard to break down defensively. Cameroon is very hard to break down defensively. And all those teams in Group H, Switzerland, Serbia, and Brazil, they're going to have a very difficult time trying to break down that Cameroon defense. You know, defense wins games, man. And Cameroon has good defense, and I'm hoping that Cameroon brings that same defense into the World Cup. You know, with the way that Cameroon plays defense, Cameroon is very defensive for an African side. Um, they're very compact. They're organized defensively. They don't give you a whole lot of room. They're athletic. They can run, and they can give any team problems defensively. And that's actually what I think their strength is. Cameroon's strength is their defense. And I know that because of watching the last two friendly matches against Uzbekistan and South Korea. Cameroon is kind of having trouble offensively right now. They haven't scored any goals in the last two friendly matches, but their defense is on point. And like any team in the world will struggle against that Cameroon defense, and that's going to be their key to advance to the second round of the World Cup. Cameroon might have to just play extremely defensive, play those extremely defensive, boring, low scoring matches. Sometimes you have to play like that to advance to to the second round of the World Cup. To win matches in football, sometimes you have to be very defensive and have a low scoring game. A lot of those games are boring to watch, but you got to do what you got to do to win. And man, I don't know if Cameroon has the offensive capabilities to blow Switzerland, Serbia, and Brazil out the water. But Cameroon can definitely compete with these teams by being extremely defensive. If Cameroon can beat Switzerland for their first match, then it they can very well move on to the second round of the World Cup, man. All Cameroon and African teams in general, all they need is a first game win to gain confidence, and they're going to have confidence for the rest of the tournament. So Cameroon just needs some confidence, and hopefully they beat Switzerland for their first game. And I think that that's very possible. You know, but they can beat Switzerland because Switzerland they're not the greatest team in the world. Switzerland isn't even they're a good team, but they're not they're not really technically considered an A level team. They're not considered an A level team with the Germanys, Spain's, the Englands. You know, they're not up there considered an A level team with those big name teams, but they're on a good day they can hang with those teams. Switzerland can. So Switzerland is, you know, I saw Switzerland play against either Spain and Portugal. I think it was both. I think Switzerland this year played against both Spain and Portugal, and they're a beatable team. They're not the most technically and tactically skilled. They are technically tactically skilled, but they're not like an A level team of technical and tactical ability. You know, actually, Cameroon Cameroon's last game, friendly match to prepare for the World Cup was against South Korea. Man, in South Korea, man, that's a good game for Cameroon to prepare for the World Cup. That's a good game for South Korea to prepare for the World Cup. South Korea defeated Cameroon 1-0, but I kind of give Cameroon a pass against losing against South Korea because South Korea had the edge. South Korea was playing Cameroon in South Korea. South Korea had the home field advantage. They're playing at home. So if you're playing at home, you better beat Cameroon if you're playing at home. So, it's hard to go to another person's home field and beat them, you know. But South Korea, man, South Korea actually dominated Cameroon. South Korea dominated Cameroon in that friendly match. They had a majority of ball possession. And South Korea is extremely, they're a good team. South Korea actually is a great team. They're very skilled. They're skilled, man. They're super skilled. South Korea is super skilled. They know how to keep ball possession. They don't lose the ball at all. South Korea, they have this type of skilled players that can dribble the ball off the field with like four defenders surrounding them, and their players should still find a way to keep ball possession. They have that type of technical skill. They're always in the right position to pass the ball. They're very organized. South Korea, they're very technically and tactically skilled, but even with all their technical and tactical skill, South Korea was having a very hard time breaking down that Cameroon. defense. So like I said earlier, man, Cameroon's defense is going to be key in this World Cup. South Korea, actually, I've seen South Korea play. I've seen Switzerland play this year, both teams, and actually South Korea is more of a skilled team than Switzerland. So against Switzerland, Cameroon is going to have be able to get more ball possession. You know, Cameroon only had like 30% ball possession against South Korea, and that's why they didn't score because they barely had the ball to score. But against Switzerland, Cameroon's gonna have more ball possession, and when you have more ball possession, you have a greater likelihood to score because you need the ball in your possession. So it's common sense. I predict against a team like Switzerland, Cameroon probably have like 40% ball possession, and that's enough ball possession for Cameroon to do something with and score that ball and attack up the field. And so Switzerland, they're a beatable team. They're a beatable team, and Cameroon can beat Switzerland. Switzerland is not the greatest team in the world. They're nobody to be scared of, actually. I was disappointed in I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed in Cameroon with their two friendly match losses against Uzbekistan and South Korea. But it's good to lose now before the World Cup. It's good to lose now before the World Cup to fix your mistakes. Friendly matches are not always about winning. Friendly matches are about improving and seeing what you're good at and seeing what you're bad at. You know, so Cameroon lost two games, friendly matches, and that gives them the opportunity to fix whatever they need to fix before the World Cup actually begins. A lot of times with in football and soccer, teams have friendly matches before the World Cup, and sometimes teams do horrible in the friendly matches, but they go to the World Cup and they dominate. And sometimes it's opposite. Sometimes teams do very well in the world in a friendly matches before the World Cup. Then they go to the World Cup and perform horribly. Like teams, people all around the world and on social media, they think Brazil is going to be so dominant in the World Cup because they're defeating and blowing everybody out the water, in these friendly matches. Brazil beat Ghana 3-0 in the friendly match. Brazil beat Tunisia like 5-0 in the friendly match. And everyone thinks Brazil's so great. They're going to go in, they're going to be dominating in the World Cup. Brazil, for all we know, Brazil can go to a World Cup and mess around and not go to the second round. So friendly matches, to an extent, friendly matches have to be taken to with a grain of salt. Uh, yeah, I mean, like even though Cameroon they haven't won their last two friendly matches, last two games, they still have qualities that I like about them. They're very defensive, they're organized, and they're a team that is hard to break down. They're not going to be an easy egg to crack in this World Cup. Serbia, Switzerland, and Brazil are not going to have an easy time scoring against Cameroon's defense. They're not. And in general, really, African teams have improved defensively. In past World Cups, Africa's flaws are always their defense. African teams are a lot of times in the past um, they leave gaps in the back, final third of the field. But nowadays, man, African defense is like very compact and yeah, and organized. So African teams really have improved defensively Yeah, man, and some a lot of times, man, defense is more important than your attack. Sometimes, and if you lack an attack, you better have the best defense. you know, Cameroon definitely they need to change some things before the World Cup. Um, Cameroon they need their attack is lacking. Cameroon's attack is lacking. They lack creativity. Yeah, their attack has no creativity. There's no creativity in that midfield. Maybe the coach, the Cameroon coach, has to play with their lineup. Maybe start new players, see how switch players positions. You know, change. Maybe the coach has to change players in that midfield. Put more playmakers in to that midfield so Cameroon can have a better time attacking and going up the field to score. Yeah, man. Cameroon definitely needs some creativity in that midfield so they can create scoring chances. Man, I definitely know Cameroon can score. Cameroon has Vincent Abubakar, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Vincent Abubakar, he's a striker for Cameroon, but he hasn't really been scoring the last couple of friendly matches because man, I don't know, man. That Cameroon midfield and that Cameroon defense is not feeding Vincent Abubakar that ball. He's not getting that ball. Maybe they should switch Vincent Abubakar to that midfield so he can have an easier time having ball possession and to score. But maybe that's a good idea. Man, all Cameroon needs is to beat Switzerland that first game and to have confidence. I'm interested to see how Cameroon plays against Brazil. Against a team like Brazil, man, to hang with Brazil, man, I think Cameroon all they need to do really is be very defensive. Don't give Brazil any space. Don't give them any respect, and be compact. And man, that's all you can do sometimes against a team that's like very good, like Brazil. I still have confidence in Cameroon. They're led by Samuel Ito. Samuel Ito, he's like an African football legend who used to play with Barcelona. He used to play on the Barcelona squad alongside Lionel Messi. So Samuel Eto'o, he definitely knows a lot about the game of football and soccer. So I believe he's not the coach, but he's like the president of the team, Samuel Eto'o. So I know he has the knowledge and the ability to lead Cameroon in the right direction. I'm not too sure about Cameroon's coach though, man. I don't know. Um, Cameroon's coach, yeah. Cameroon's coach is Rigobert Song, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Song. He's a coach for Cameroon, and man, he needs to fix something because from what I've seen the last couple of games, man, it seems like Cameroon doesn't have much of an offensive game plan, and it seems like he's not using the best tactics. You know, because sometimes when the coach doesn't use the best tactics, it causes the team to be less creative. And against South Korea and against Uzbekistan, Cameroon isn't as creative as they usually are. So man, but hopefully, man, we still have we still have over a month to the World Cup begins. So that's still enough time to get a little some stuff sorted out for Cameroon. So hopefully, by the time the World Cup starts, man, the coach makes the right decisions, starts the right players, uses the right formations. I'm wondering what formation Cameroon should use. Cameroon definitely has to be defensive. So maybe a 4-4-2 formation is good for a team like Cameroon. You know, yeah, a formation like a 4-4-2 is really perfect for a team like Cameroon, actually. With the 4-4-2 formation, Cameroon is lacking creativity. The strikers are not putting the ball behind the net. So with the 4-4-2, Cameroon will have two strikers in the front, you know, the two strikers in the front that gives Cameroon a higher probability of scoring since they'll have two strikers in the front instead of one striker in the front. And they'll have four players in the midfield with 4-4-2. Those four players in the midfield could help with the attack and they can help with defense. Cameroon right now is a team that's having problems with their attack. So having four players in that midfield, you know, instead of like three players in that midfield, gives Cameroon more players, you know, to push that ball forward. And those four players in the midfield, they can also help out with defensive duties. And Cameroon's is a team that's already good at defense. So 4-4-2, with the 4-4-2 formation, you could be very defensive and very offensive at the same time. And that's the qualities Cameroon needs. Yeah. On paper, man, I'm not gonna lie. On paper, on paper, Cameroon is not the best team. They have a few players who are from like the MLS, the Greek leagues, and there's other teams who have more talented players in Cameroon. But Cameroon, they can definitely hang with the best of the world, man. They made it to the World Cup for a reason. Africa, man, is very competitive in football nowadays, and African football is improving more and more every couple of years. So if you're an African team who made it to the World Cup with the state of African football now, man, you're a good team. Cameroon, Cameroon, their next friendly match, they have another friendly match before the World Cup, and it's against Jamaica. Jamaica is a beatable team. Of course, Jamaica is not a football giant, and Cameroon definitely can beat a team like Jamaica. And against a team like Jamaica, I imagine that Cameroon would dominate ball possession against Jamaica. And Cameroon has the opportunity to be very offensive against Jamaica since they're going to dominate ball possession, and Cameroon, they just need to work on their offensive creativity. And against a team like Jamaica, Cameroon's going to be able to do just that. They're going to be able to dominate Jamaica offensively with their offense, and If Cameroon beats Jamaica, that's just going to give Cameroon confidence going to the World Cup to beat Switzerland for their first game. And man, that's all they need is confidence. But all right, you guys, peace.